12:43. Look at my hair. Somebody yesterday said they loved my hair. I haven't touched my hair today because I've been like up doing little things or like just roaming through the house. And I went to the bathroom and thought, I'm going to fix my hair so I can do this quick live. And then I looked at my hair and I thought, somebody praised my hair yesterday. I just want to show you my hair. This is my hair. So if you would like to adopt this, we can arrange a swap because this is aggravating the crap out of me today. I just had to come on here today because it's the end of the year, and I'm trying to end the year in a very tongue-in-cheek, somewhat kind of mood. I can block the sunlight, or I'm translucent. That's how pale I am. And I just want to end the year on just a tongue-in-cheek, kind of funny kind of mood. I witnessed something so amazing this morning. It is what the internet is supposed to be. It is what we're supposed to feel when we go to the internet and we bond with good people and we meet up with good people. I watched a woman that was struggling emotionally this morning. She spoke up. She got brave enough to speak up in the chat. Hi, Annette. And everyone just circled her with love and support. And I was like, this is what the internet is for. This is the positivity and the outreach that the internet can have. And I was just so blessed and proud and moved. And of all the, all the stuff, all the crap that I've had to handle the last week, I thought, that's it. That is what is supposed to be most important. And I sat there for a moment and I reflected and I thought, how sad that people go through life thinking that they have created some kind of control or power or gotten some kind of authority when they treat other poorly. Because what you siphon off people during those events is not positivity, is not, but what you experience when you're part of something truly, it's just loving. That's when your emotional gas tank is filled. That's when you can say, that's power. And I was just blessed to witness it. It happened on Liplock's live, and I was just so happy I was there in case I was needed. It was great. Yeah, together we accomplished a lot. And I get tickled. I get tickled when I talk to people sometimes, and I have to explain it in terms. And sometimes I oversimplify things just to help understand it. But people that think they have power from those toxic interactions and overlording and trying to maneuver and manipulate people like chess pieces and pull them into certain things so that they can drain the energy or use the energy or misuse the energy. That is not power. That is a parasitic relationship. You're no different than the chickers I get in the hayfield that burrow into my leg and leave their butts hanging out for me to scratch. And I'm sitting here going, that is a parasitic relationship. And I had a moment of remorse and sadness because I thought, I hate that someone has stumbled upon me and chosen to have that behavior, but then I'm not responsible for what they choose to do. It's just sad that someone would try to use the positivity in a negative way, but at the end of the day, I'm also super glad it happened because I don't like parasitic relationships. I just don't. I like 50-50 or even, 100 relationships. So I sat there and my husband was like, he's like, what is going on? He's like, I've heard you talking a couple times since I've been home a couple days. And he's like, what happened? And I said, I hate to tell you, but one of the people that I thought was a friend got an illness. And I said, because of that illness, she must have had an allergic reaction to me and we can no longer be friends. And my husband looked at me, he said, what? He said, what illness? And I said, she had what I call, you're up my ass. He goes, you're up my ass. I said, yeah, you're up my ass. You're up my ass. And he goes, okay. And I said, it can only be resolved with space, time, respect, and boundaries. And he goes, oh. I was like, yeah. I was like, in the end, you're at my ass. We'll bother you no more. I said, but the thing she doesn't realize is that I'm not the one with the pain. I'm not the one worried about someone's behavior. I'm not the one seeking through hours of lives to pick someone apart. So it's not that she's up my ass. She's trying to wedge me up hers. And my husband looked at me and he goes, you're having one of those days, aren't you? I was like, yeah, I'm having one. So I just had a more humorous look at things today. I'm kind of resolving through my grief and everything I've had to handle today, this week. Hi, Denise. And I've just had a really funny twist of perspective today for some reason. And I just at this point found it funny, and I just have to absorb it, let you all know what I'm learning from this and how I'm processing it, and it's just funny because when you remove positive interaction and positive boundaries and positive, friendships and just positivity, just wanting to be positive or wanting to be creative in a positive way, then you remove a lot of the things that refill your gas tank and help you through hardships in life. And I really hate that someone is going through life siphoning off that little bit of energy they get from such a negative component, a negative way of being. And if they would just realize that positivity begets positivity and love begets love, they could fill their emotional gas tank and have a much better experience and affect people in a better way. And I just want people to know, you can't be friends with everybody. You can't meet everybody halfway. You're not going to see eye to eye with everyone. It is absolutely humanly impossible. We're just different creatures sometimes. But you can look at somebody and say, I don't understand you, but I don't want to cause you harm. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to disrespect you. I don't want to drag down something you have built. You can have differences of opinion and choose to go different ways without trying to manhandle someone's life. And I've had a completely positive outcome of what should have been a hellacious week emotionally. And I think it is because the positivity that I have tried to put out there this year came back to me at the worst possible time when I needed it the most. And I am so thankful that I had that tank of emotional gas to use at such a horrible time in my life. And I want everyone to think about that. Because when you put energy out there, it does come back to you. It will, in some way, harness you or propel you in the future. So I want everyone to be aware that karma does exist. And it intervenes in our lives in places we don't anticipate, but it makes perfect sense. Yes, you choose how to respond. Every time you choose how to respond. And I have not unsubbed anyone. You all know I sit on stuff and I chew on it for a while. I've not unsubbed anyone. I've not gone through and I'm just kind of like, I've withdrawn. I'm my own person. I am in my own place. I'm focusing on my own work, on my own thoughts. And I see other people just running and just trying to just like spider web out and just bleed negativity. And jump into lives and wonder what somebody's saying about them. I'm going to have differences of opinion, and I'm going to express why I make my decisions. And I'm going to express the psychology and the behavioral components behind it. But I'm not going to attack someone's channel. I'm not going to go and sit through someone's chat and then jump and try to cause them problems when they're trying to do what they do on their page and on their format. That is negative. That is hostile. That is malicious. That is nothing I want to be. And the sad thing is when these people do this and they think they're gaining control over me, I'm sitting here going, I lost a dear friend this week and I've had to deal with some emotions, but other than coming on here and letting you all know I'm okay and, thanks for notifying me, but I'm fine, I've really had no negative repercussions from my decision because I made my decision with sound, logical facts, things that were actually happening that I had to make a decision about because they did not go along with how I choose to lead my life. And so I've not had any repercussions. And they're so busy trying to create negativity that they don't realize that they're creating it for themselves. Hi, Gypsy. And so as the year winds down, I've just been kind of tongue-in-cheek today. And I don't know if I'll be able to be on later, so I wanted to check in because there's supposed to be really bad storms through here later. So depending on the weather and the Wi-Fi, that's what will happen later. But I just wanted to come on here and say that today, this morning, I witnessed the power that this internet is supposed to have. I saw a woman in a horribly bad emotional state be lifted up, surrounded, and loved by others, by complete strangers that just wanted her to know she wasn't alone, that she had outlets, she had people to talk to, she had people that would not take advantage of her trust. And I thought, that's why I'm on this freaking platform. That's why I'm here. Can you be nice 24/7? No. You can't be nice. You have to assert boundaries and you have to say your piece and you have to be true to yourself. And when I have to make hard decisions, you all know I'm going to tell you why I'm making those hard decisions. But I'm not going to do what is being done to me. I'm not going to be messaging people. I'm not going to be trying to build an army of subs to attack them. Like I said, there are positive things that happen on channels that I don't watch and don't support. Because there's thousands of people that gather those channels that have independent relationships because they were on those channels and found each other. I'm not about to go and break up a sanctuary for people in the comment section that have found each other. Oh, Annette, it was really powerful to be there and witness it and to see the woman respond. It was very powerful. And I don't know, I had just been kind of doing my own thing this morning and something made me want to check in. And I immediately caught that live and experienced that. And I thought, I needed that today. I needed that today. Because I've seen so much negativity on this platform, I needed that today. I needed that. I needed to top off my emotional gas tank and end this year on a positive note. And remember why people gather here. And it's because we know there's goodness. We know there's goodness out there. And yeah, there's negativity and bad people out there, and they use this platform in a negative way. And people are always going to do that because, you know something, man is imperfect. And some people don't strive to understand that their imperfections. You know, if you don't try to keep them in check and you don't try to better yourself, you can do a lot of damage to other people with your own animosity and your own anger and your own negativity. And that's why I don't, you know, if I respond, I try to be positive. I try to be supporting. And if I don't think it's going to be a positive interaction, I just avoid it. But I needed to see that today. Because I've had so many people just trying to push buttons and stuff, and I'm just sitting here going, why are they trying to do that? Why do people always have to go for the negativity? Do people not understand that they aren't asserting control over someone else? They're giving the person that they're obsessed with control over their life. It's so negative. It's so counterproductive. It's so stupid. You know. Because if I'm irritated with you or I'm not enjoying your company, the last thing I want to do is think about you 24/7. It's just dirt. And I'm just in a giggly mood today. It's just everything struck me funny today. But not everyone can understand that. And I was becoming really frustrated with seeing the repetitious, negative, nasty, horrible people on here. And there's lots of them. Oh my goodness, you just do a Google search with a few keywords, and it's like, oh, there's a lot of bad people out there. And that's why I was so happy to see the positive this morning. And I'm like, I just have to stay more focused. And I'm going to have to get to know people better before I engage and trust. And that's a lesson for everybody on here. Just because someone has a demure voice and speaks as though they are a very kind-natured, warm-hearted person, syrup, honey, both of those catch more flies than anything. Be careful. Take time to get to know people and question people. And when you see the negative and you see it repeatedly, make sure you seek out the positive. Make sure when you're feeling overwhelmed with the negativity that you find something to remind you that this outlet is actually quite amazing, very productive at times, and can be used for positive things, just like I witnessed this morning. So I was just, I don't know, I needed that this morning. I needed that, and I wanted to share it with you all. And I saw so many people just willing to catch someone who was just in a bad state and protect them and give them safety while they went through what they went through, and just to give them support and just say, I'm here. You're not alone. And for people that are struggling, for people that are feeling the super emotions that are, just hyper pronounced at this time of year especially, that is a big deal. To feel as though you have people that have reached out to offer something that's precious. That's a big deal, especially if you're in one of those hyper emotional states. Oh, it shocks me when people behave that way too. Well, it doesn't shock me. Like I've seen a lot of bad behavior because of my jobs, but I do genuinely get irked every time I see negative behavior, especially when it comes from the older generations, because I'm like, haven't you lived through the most? Haven't you experienced the most? Haven't you gone through this exact issue the most? Just from the time you've been on the planet. Have you not found a better way to handle it? And I'm like, don't follow, Priscilla, don't follow the negative people. Don't fall into the negative behaviors. Don't fall into the I'm going to enact power over them by constantly following them and having to know everything they're doing and stealing their content. And that's not power. That is called consumption. That is a parasitic relationship. Please understand that that's not power over them. You're allowing them to have power over everything in your life. Your mental capacity, your time, your emotional output. I mean, what can you do positive if you're constantly thinking about what you can do negative to someone? What do you think you carry around your family and the people around you when you're in that mindset? Because it's not positivity. They feel it. People pick up on that, especially children. So I just wanted everybody to know, be aware of this. Be aware of this. Don't fall into that trap. And don't think that exerting power and becoming consumed with somebody is you having power over them. Because when you are irritated and consumed and you allow somebody to dictate your day and to dictate your thoughts and your just ever-loving moment of being, they have power over you. They have absolute power over you. And, I've not blocked anyone. I've not unsubbed. I just withdrew and said, I'm just going my other way. I'm not trying to take that sub away. I'm not trying to use my sub anywhere inappropriately. I'm not trying to jump into lives and create problems or try to create the toxicity again and pull somebody back. I just want to go my way, and I want other people to go their way, and I want them to know that this parasitic relationship is harmful. And that is why I do not engage in those behaviors. It is harmful. And if there's a lesson to be learned here, everyone look at who you've given more of your attention and time this week. Where has it been focused? Has it been focused on a positive, creating positives, supporting and loving people, or has it been placed in negative components where you're consumed with something that's a little toxic, that's not nice, that's irritating to deal with, and you feel like you're going to, I don't know, lord some power if you pursue this deep, dark, nasty feeling you have inside? Because whatever field you're walking in, that's the bag of lice you're bringing home. And that is what your family will be steeped in. That is what your home will be made of. And that is the emotions that the people inside that home will feel. It's a great lesson. It's an absolutely great lesson. It is why I just strive to be positive and strive to find positive things and positive people, positive interactions, and to let you all know there is a way to have a better life. People just don't understand that they generate a lot of the toxicity on their own. And it, sadly, everyone that is having a crappy existence is in some way responsible. They may, it may be a 20-80 and they're only 20% responsible, and then 80% it may be, someone else causing some issues. But if you're in a bad place, I guarantee you there are at least a few decisions you've made to be there. And the good news is that you can reverse course and make positive decisions and move back into a positive place. And it doesn't cost you anything. And it will reduce the time you spend in a negative mindset, in a negative environment, in creating a negative home. It will alleviate all of that. And you'll start to see positivity seep in again. And if people really think creating negativity is doing something for them, is a positive, is getting them clicks, likes, all you're doing is compounding the toxic that's coming into your world. Compounding the negative. You're accepting all of that negative emotion because you're attracting people that are flocking to these behaviors and actions that are negative, and you're just compounding the negativity and absorbing it. So how much negativity have you really steeped in this week, and how much positivity have you steeped in? Because I lost a 35+ year friend, like I've known him my entire life, and went through some really horrible moments of sadness and grief. But I'm still laughing, and I'm still smiling, and I still know that I have people that love me, and I still know that the world is a genuinely positive place with positive people and love and devotion to others and devotion to creating positivity so that other people can recharge the batteries. And I saw that this morning. I know it's there all the time, and I'm aware of it, and I try to always go toward the positive, but to be able to see that this morning, I needed that. After the week I've had, I've needed that. I needed that. And it just reminded me of all the positivity that I had in my friendship that I lost, that it wasn't sad that I lost him per se, but I was so fortunate to have had him. And all the memories and all the laughs, and all the laughs. All the laughs. We laughed a lot. And I'm just like, I've had the shittiest week possible for most people. And I'm sitting at the end of it going, dang, I'm lucky. Now, that's a lesson. That's a lesson. If you can do that, you're doing something pretty right. And after I saw that live, I'm going to go down here and tell you all what I witnessed. It was amazing. It was super. It was great. Oh, it's okay. I'm just brain vomiting again. I just was so happy. And Country Christian was in there this morning too. It was an amazing thing to see. That woman just immediately got everything she needed. All her needs were met. She was so forlorn and hurt and in such a negative place. And in 10 minutes, she was surrounded by love. And I thought, this is what the internet's for. So if people, are playing this game, I think that we're starting to see creators pull away and go back towards positivity. I think we're starting to see creators go, that's not where we were going. That's not what we're trying to generate. And we are really wanting to create a positive place. And there are a few creators out there that are doing what they said they would do and keeping that little girl's name out there in the news and trying to be positive and to remember summer in a positive way and to keep the case alive and just gently nudge people to remember to send good vibes and to pray. And so I hope this little girl is found. And it's just like that positivity, that's what we should be going for. And when we see other people that have other ways of doing things, what we have to do is just accept the positive that we can find, let the negative go, and just stay on our path. If that person is not going to benefit us, then we don't merge paths with them. We go on and we stay on our path. And it's okay. It's okay to meet people and go, no, we're not compatible. Thought we were. We're not. It's okay. You learned a lesson. That's your positive. Move forward. And so I don't know. I just needed that this morning, and I just wanted to let you all know that was an amazing thing for me to witness. I needed it. I love Liplock because she's just very herself. She is very much likes the foundation of knowledge and data and research because she has the background in journalism and stuff. And I really like that she kind of is stuck on the facts and stuck on dealing with the people that are handling the investigation instead of orbiting into this drama that's going on around this weird community on the internet platform. I like that she does that. And I don't know. I think we're going to see like everybody go back to positivity, and the people that are being super negative are just going to kind of be a little like third wheel component over here that are fixing to understand that negativity is not where it's at. Positivity is. Be positive. Be productive. Be helpful. Be considerate. Be kind. Be gracious. Yeah, every once in a while you got to throw some spice and some sass in there. You got to put a boundary down. You got to say, no, I ain't doing that. Ain't part of my world, ain't part of what I consider anything I want to be in, I'm done. And that's great. Boundaries, like I've said, boundaries are great things. Boundaries give us, good fence rows make for great neighbors. Just remember that. So it's just, I don't know. I just wanted to share this. I made my husband laugh this morning. That was fun. He's going to be super busy the next 2 days trapping on a huge farm in amidst this rough weather we're going to have. So he's going to be careful, but it's just, I just ended this horrible week on such a high note. Annette, you will be blocked for setting boundaries because you did what they can't do, and when you did it, then they're like, no, you can't do it. I'm going to do it. And what you have to do is go, okay, yep. And that's why you put the boundary down. And what you have to do is walk away and give them time to think without any emotions. You have to let their hot water turn cold. You have to let them get uncomfortable in what they created. You have to let them reflect in what they created. And when they hit a point where they realize it's more positive, it's better to have you in their life in some component, even if they have to obey a few rules, than to not have you at all. If they get there, they'll let you know, and you'll know. And you'll be able to reestablish a new relationship with new, healthier parameters and rebuild. But not until they have sat there and had to acknowledge what they've done. You have to walk away from people and allow them to time to reflect and understand that they created the environment that they are now in. Yeah, love them from afar. That's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. And until they have the realization that this is a consequence of their own behavior, you will not be able to have a relationship with them. But when they realize that how they treat people has a consequence, and how they love people and add stipulations that shouldn't be in love has a consequence, and how they try to control rather than just support, it has a consequence. They have to come to a realization of all of these things. And unfortunately, people that are very aggressive and very controlling, they don't go to a reflective state very often. But my wish is that the boundary you just threw them will make them sit down and think about these things. And often that does happen, but with someone that is really steeped in that negative, controlling pattern, it takes them a long time. Because if you have to sit down and acknowledge that something within you is not functioning well because this is a repeated issue, this is something that you're experiencing from multiple family members, and now it's cost you a loved one, it's hard to sit down and open that door, because once they realize one thing they've done wrong, they will have a flood and they will have to process a lot. But once they get through that, they will be a much happier, well-rounded, better person. Oh, you were her whipping post. Yeah. And you will probably never understand fully why she made you a target. I mean, like, you probably have some ideas, but the actual reason you probably will never understand. But you have to realize that it's her problem, and the behavior that she was creating, and the actions she was exhibiting, and the negativity that she was causing. That's no way to live life, and that's no way, you don't want to allow that into your world, especially if you're like, have children to protect, or you have children to raise, or you've got health issues, you've got something that you need to super ultra protect. You can't have that. And the sad thing is when you start to realize that these mutual family issues, or these battles, like the control battles, once you realize that it's not something you're creating, that it's something they're creating, and you've just played that game with them. You can't play tic-tac-toe alone. Tug of war without someone else pulling is not tug of war. So these people only come back when you engage them, and they feed off that. And the less they have to feed off of, the more they have to deal with themselves, the more they have a consequence to focus on, and they realize, I created this. And they will eventually realize that. And once they realize, I created this, my behavior, my actions toward others created this, and I'm the only one that can dissolve the negativity and create a new way of being. And once they have that realization, you will see, because it will change the way that they deal with everyone. It will be like a new creature has walked into the world, and they will start holding themselves accountable. And, you'll have people that will try to go, okay, well, I thought about it, and I'm sorry. Can you just come back? That's desperation. Desperation is, no. That is about 10 miles before realization and understanding consequential behavior. Yeah. What let him have the last word, It's like, oh, goodness, 11-year-olds. The best thing you can do with children that are in that age gap, before 13, it's a very sticky issue with if they're ready to understand the emotional context of the behaviors and, societal, norms and all that stuff. And it's hard to really help them understand how their behavior is actually affecting them and others, because they're still very self-aware. They're stuck on themselves. I mean, they're just stuck on themselves. It's like a sticky fly trap. They're just stuck. The best thing you can do is to very clearly get down on their level and go, you're exhibiting very negative behavior. It is hurting yourself and others around you. We are not going to participate in this behavior. And until you can be positive, you need to remove yourself from everyone else and go think about what is going on. And when you can be more positive, please come back and join us, because we do miss you when you're gone. But we only want you here if you're going to be positive and be part of the family in a positive way. Please go think about whatever has created this behavior. And if you need help, we're here to help you. And then go and role model appropriate interactions with the rest of your family. Because at that point, from 7 to 11, what they're trying to do, rather than lower control, or what they're trying to do is get attention, gain attention, and so we see a lot of attention-seeking behaviors in that area, in that area of life, especially that age gap. And so what they're doing is trying to get attention. And the thing is that kids feed on any attention, negative and positive. It fills their gas tank almost the same until they get old enough to understand social parameters and consequences and real family dynamics, to about 13 and above. And so any attention a child will take. But negative attention fuels negative behaviors. Positive attention fuels positive behaviors. And when they do something truly negative, you need to respond really positively. That doesn't mean you can't say it's wrong. But you better be on point, have your game face on, be in your parent mindset, and do it from a seat of love. That's the most important thing. Get down on their level and do it from a place of love, where they can feel the love, but know that there's a line that's been crossed. And then go role model appropriate interactions with the rest of your family. Because what they're doing at that point is they've seen someone else benefit from that behavior, so they're trying to benefit from it too. Because negative behavior normally gets you attention like that. Positive behavior takes a little longer. We all know that. You go on YouTube and you can see it every day of the week. So when you have a kid that's doing that, notice it's attention seeking. They just want that energy. They want that interaction, because when you're that age, everything. When you're trying to set new boundaries, one of the best way to set new boundaries is to call a family meeting and have everyone set the boundaries. And that way, it's not a power fight, it's not a power struggle, it's not mom's rules against everybody's rules, it's family rules. And so when they disrespect the family rules, they're disrespecting the entire family. They're disrespecting an entity. They're disrespecting a unit. And it doesn't become a personal issue. Because if you say, you're disrespecting my rules, well, that ownership over that rule will make them want to disrespect it more. Shared ownership over rules and boundaries is the best way to go with families. Now, do you get the final say? Yeah, you're the parent. You get the final say. But it's best to shape them with everyone there. No, I don't do physical attacks either. I'm like, what? Like, I was a very big, powerful young woman in my day. Like, if I'd powerlifted, I'd probably been on the U.S. Olympic team. If I touch a barbell, I will buff up like Arnold. No. I've gotten old and domestic and round in the last few years. And my doctor's like, well, do you wanna try some physical therapy with some weights? And I'm like, do you want to see me go ba-boom? Because that's what will happen. That's my entire life. I touch a weight and just da-doom. And so I'm kind of happy being round and domestic. But I'm also really happy because it puts me in a different mindset. Because when I was young and I was really strong and really powerful, I really relied on my image, my presentation, and the way I carried myself to create those boundaries for me. And that weakens me, because had I been thinking, I would have been more in myself. I would have been creating these boundaries verbally, creating these contracts with these people that I love that were in my life. I would have been facilitating my contracts appropriately, because I didn't do it appropriately. I made them read my body language, and I was gruff all the time because I wanted space. And it cost me a few years where I was in limbo with people that didn't know if they had a good relationship with me or not. But when I started facilitating those relationships and putting those boundaries out there appropriately and speaking to them and engaging them and saying, hey, I want you to understand. I want you to have no question about my expectations and your expectations of me. I started having much better relationships. Now, one of the best questions you can ask your child is, how can I help you? Because your child will have an idea. Most parents are like, well, they don't know. They're not old enough. They will have an idea. It may not be what you're thinking of, and it may be an immediate Band-Aid that you may not think is very important, but if they say that's how you need to help them, it's important to them. Because half the problem with being a parent is learning how to respond. Because them little suckers grow up and they learn to use their mouth. You have to learn how to respond. And I learned that responding from a place of love and on their level and trying to heed what they were telling me. And really sometimes I would have to sit there and be like, I want to give you your space and I want to let you talk. But until you can tell me what I can do to help you, I'm going to sit here and make sure that you're okay. If you tell me what I can do to help you and we can start to resolve the issue, we can start to move to a positive place where we're creating a resolution, I'll give you time back here alone to think about this. I'm just going to sit here quietly and be here just to know you're okay. And it's very intense. My daughter, that is the most precious thing in the world to me, from about 14 to 17, it was like, who dropped Satan in my house? Hello? I don't want him. You know? And I really had to deal with her. And I had to deal with, she was, in some ways, so introspective and so hyper aware of herself that she was not aware, like, she was so hyper aware of her own minute struggles that she couldn't see someone next to her having a massive struggle. And I've had to say these words to my daughter. I don't think you're socially creating the dynamic that you need at this age to be healthy. I know you're not going to believe me as your mother, but will you please go talk to someone? Because whatever is creating these little relationships that keep failing you and creating turmoil in our home needs to be resolved, because it affects more than you. And she would just look at me. And I said, I feel your pain from 10 miles away, but I can't help you with it until you tell me what has happened. And it took a long time of just being there, repeating that I was there, letting her know that I wanted to seek a resolution. And really what she was doing was, she was in a place where she was so, like, really introspective and stuck in her own little world. And she had gotten to a place where it was unhealthy and it was costing her friendships. It took her quite a while to figure out that the repeated patterns she was exhibiting was one that she created. And my job as a parent was, when I saw these friendships fail, was to go, I see that we're having problems in school again with friendships. I see that we're having problems with social capabilities. I also know that this problem I've seen 2 or 3 times before. You do know that it will not go away until you repair it. You do know that it will not change until you change it. And you do know that those things are possible. But you have to understand why you're repeating these behaviors. And she was struggling. And little girls struggle harder than little boys, I think, in some ways. Especially socially. Women are mean. Let's just be honest, ladies. Women are mean. And it was that little toxic, nasty clique in high school that was, she was getting all that animus at school, and she was bringing it home. And I was doing my best to dig through it with her. But until she sat down and started digging too, it did not get resolved. And it took me a long time to get there with her. And it's very difficult. Like, I had a big support system and lots of friends and people that could spend time with her and talk to her other than me. So that is what I did, because, you know, mom is like at the bottom of the list when it comes to, like, people I'm going to listen to about life. Until they're like 30, mom is at the bottom of the list. Well, about 25. And I recognize that. I understand how children, you know, how children's minds work. When you're stuck with people all the time, you don't see what they're good at and what they're bad at. You just are kind of suffocated by that person. And so I put her out with positive people that I knew would role model positive roles and talk to her and give her feedback. And I kind of took a seat back, because I knew that even though I needed her to know I was there and I was going to help her create a resolution, she probably was not going to actively start to go through it with me, just because of our tight, I was her mother. So I would put her in other positive relationships with her support group and our family members. And she has a very good bonus aunt that is also like a counselor. She's got like an outdoor behavioral therapy license. So I was lucky because I could be like, hello, my village of people. Help. And it was really lucky. Yeah, I was really lucky I had that. If you bring them home and they immediately darken, get them out of home to talk to them. Because the mindset, if they're getting in that pattern of mindset of going dark when they go home, it's hard to pull them out of that. So if you're going to talk to them somewhere else. Talk to them somewhere that is important to them or normally has a soothing effect on them, or somewhere that's special to them, so that you know you're making this a big deal. This is very important to you, what you're speaking about. Find other people that can help. Find positive people to role model. If it's an issue with friends, talk to the other mothers, because they may be going through the same thing. And then the last thing is find appropriate activities for that extra energy, that extra, that extra angst that we have during those growth ages. Find appropriate activities for those extra energies. Even if it's just attending like a dance class on YouTube, because they have those people that do the dance classes and you go dance with them. Even if it's just a family event where you play one family game a night, or you take them to a picnic in the park lunch once a week, even if it's just a 99-cent hamburger from McDonald's at a park bench, your child is going to think the change of venue and the extra time spent is great. They're going to know that you're doing that out of love. And it's going to seed a more positive relationship with them. Other mothers can be the problem. And if you talk to the other mothers and you identify that the other mothers and the children have been part of the problem, then we talk about appropriate friendships and how to set boundaries, and how to understand that other people's emotions affect how our life, goes if we allow it to. And how to understand that people can be in our life, but they don't have to be our world. And if someone wants you to be, if someone is like, I want to be your world, then what are they leaving for you? I don't want to be somebody's world. I don't want somebody else to be my world. I want when I come together with somebody to feel like I have a whole friendship, and I don't have to be consumed one way or the other. I want to meet them and feel like I have a whole friendship. But I think one of the best things, because I had a mother-daughter duo that were not jiving. They thought they had the worst relationship. They thought they had the worst home. They thought they had, they just really were. The mother was beside herself and she had shut down. The daughter was angry, and because she was controlling with anger, she kept controlling with anger. And they thought they had the most toxic home and the worst life, and they were all so mad. And so I said, no, you know something? For the next 3 weeks, instead of talking to me for an hour, I want you to go do an hour at the abuse shelter and serve lunch, where they keep families and they keep them safe until they can get through court and get placed in safe houses. I want you to go and serve lunch. I want you to hang out for about an hour, do laundry, clean. This is what I want you to do. And in about a month, they came back, and that little girl goes, I've never seen people that have had to go through so much. And I said, yeah. It's a different world. They have a really difficult time, don't you think? Yes, they have a very difficult life. Well, tell me about the difficulties that they face. Well, they're being abused. They're being hurt by people that should love them. They have nowhere to sleep at night. They have no food. They don't know where their next meal is coming from. They don't have the ability to go to school. They're hiding because people hate them. Well, so that's a pretty big problem to have, isn't it? I said, how about we write down their list of problems? We wrote down their list of problems. Because when it's in black and white, you can't deny it. And that's why I said, you did really good on that list of problems. I said, I think that the time you spent with them really touched your heart. She goes, it did. She's like, I didn't know that kids and families went through this. She's like, I didn't know that these places existed. I said, I think you learned a lot this week. I think somebody might become the teacher in today's lesson. I said, how are your lives different? And she goes, well, I have a home. I have friends. I have a mom that takes me where I need to be and takes me to my, like cheerleading and dance. And she's like, I don't have to worry about someone hurting me. And I was like, wow. Wow. Do you think that they would look? I said, let's put down your list of positives. And she wrote down her list of positives. And I said, do you think that the kids that have these problems would love to have these positives? She said, oh, yeah. I said, would you want to have their problems? She goes, no. I said, on a list of 1 to 10, how bad are their problems? She goes, it's 9.5. She was very adamant about that. I remember that. Because I think we even made her a little scorecard. And I said, what would you rate your problems? And she was like, 2.7. And I said, the relationship between those children and the parents. I said, what were the relationships? She goes, those kids didn't want to leave their parents. So they want to be snug right up beside their mother. They wanted to be just touching them. That was where they felt safe. And she said, they've been through so much together. And she's like, you could just feel that they loved each other and they were so concerned. And I said, have you ever felt that? And she goes, yeah. And I said, is it important to you? And she goes, yeah. I said, have you allowed other things to be more important than that feeling before? Yeah. I said, what should be in like your top 1 or 2 slots of things that you really need to feel, things that you really need to understand about your life and your home? And she was like, I don't have the worst problems, and I don't have the worst parents, and I need to be positive, and I need to remember that. And that's the day we turned the corner with that young woman. But it took 3 weeks of serving others to see someone in a worse position. You can talk till the cows come home, but sometimes witnessing someone else's struggle is what needs to occur. And I have to be aware when I'm the counselor to understand that I'm not reaching this young lady with words. I'm not reaching her with scenarios. I'm reaching her with role play. I've got to think of something else. And so I dished out my fee for 3 weeks, and I said, you don't have to pay me, but you need to go do this for an hour once a week. And that was the best thing I could have done. Didn't get paid for 3 weeks, but that family went somewhere. And that's what I was there for. That was more important than my pay. So that's when we turned the corner with that young woman. Lots of times kids think that their world is the only world. And it's the only one that matters. And it's the only one that should be in existence. And when you introduce them to other scenarios and other families with other problems and other ways of life that potentially are, struggling more, what you're doing is most parents go, I want to protect my child from seeing that. You can't protect your children from seeing the negativity in the world. Best to prepare them for it. They're going to see it. They're going to witness it. And they're going to be in it. Show it to them. Don't hide them from it. Don't hide it from them. Show them what real people struggle with, and what real problems look like, and what real danger is, so that they can then turn and understand that reality is not what they create in their minds. It's not. It's a shared consensus with everyone in it. And they have to be there too, because when they're stuck in here, they're in their head. It's fantasy. It's fiction. And she had not understood it when she was home and she was controlling. Yes, she lived in this little fantasy area where she was the Dark Queen and all the inhabitants fed to her, and but it was emptiness. And that energy she was getting was not the appropriate energy. And thank goodness she was a little bit older, so she was starting to understand between the negative and positive energy. And it was just amazing when she actually was thrust into this world to witness people with true horrors, that she realized she didn't have a horror. So sometimes we just, sometimes it's just about, showing people the true horrors of society, what true danger, fear, and harm is, and knowing when it's right to do so, and when when you need to protect them from it. But teens, when they get around 14 and above, they're ready to start understanding the darkness of the world, because they're fixing to have to co-facilitate in handling that darkness. I had parents when their kids were 17 and they were smothering like an 11-year-old, and I looked at her and I said, "You do know that next year he's going to help pick the president?" Yeah. It's time to pop him off the tit. And they would be like, "Oh crap, I hadn't realized that." I was like, I think if we can entrust him with that, we can probably entrust him to start learning how to handle his emotions better. And then I would look at the kid, and the kid was like, "Oh heck, she stood up for me." And I looked at him and I was like, "You do realize if you have the power to pick the president, you also have the power to go to prison, be drafted by the military, pay your bills." And he was like, "None, I'm an adult." And he snapped to really quick. So a lot of it is the interaction and just not having a realistic, honest vantage point of the world around them and what they're actually dealing with compared to what other people have to deal with. My kids saw a lot of kids struggling because I was a safe place for a lot of parents that were, because they knew me, because I worked in the schools and tutored, because I'd had a job where people learned to trust me. If parents had struggles, if a mom had recently separated, had to get an order of protection, but needed 4 days to train at a new job to benefit her family, that kid was mine for 4 days. I became Mama Liz. And it was great for my kids to see. And it was great for the kids that came into our little world and became part of our family. It was great for them to see. And they still check in with me today and come visit me and check on me and send me Christmas cards. But be real, be honest. Understand if they're around 11 or that younger age, they just want any energy. Any energy will do. Stay positive, stay super positive, stay super appropriate, and role model positivity, because they're learning from you. When it comes to 14 and over, reality. Understanding the world. It doesn't cater to them. Seeing things that have opposition to their beliefs, they understand it's there now, and they learn to deal with it, rather than being thrust upon it when they're 18 and fail to deal with it, or deal with it horribly and get in trouble. So, part of the struggle is just understanding that when you force healing, it doesn't work. And sometimes you just have to repeatedly be there, provide healthy outlets, remind them that you're trying, asking them, "How can I help you? I'm here for you." And waiting for them to kind of latch on. And if they don't latch on to you, and you don't think it's moving in the right speed at the right amount of time, go to a professional. Go to a professional. And because that professional may need to look at other issues that may be going on. It's hard to know. A lot of the chemicals change between 11 and 14. And that chemical change, the hormone changes, it changes the growth rate of the brain, it changes the function of the brain, it changes where the brain is focused, its energy is on growing and mastering skills. It changes everything in just a few short years. And that's why our children wake up sometimes and we're like, "You're not the person I put to bed." What? And it's because their little bodies and little brains are having a hard time keeping up with everything. So it should be difficult for parents to keep up, because your kids are going through a hyper, just fast growth. And, so they're struggling too, we're struggling too, and it's okay to struggle. But there's a lot of chemical imbalances that may also create issues that need a professional. So if you need a professional, go to a professional. Priscilla, you go rest. You're fine. I'm just blabbing. Somebody asked me a question. I could talk for 10 years. I could talk the hind leg off a mule. We all know that. But I was glad I was here to kind of give examples and answer questions. I hope it works. I hope that helped. But if you really think it's beyond what I'm telling you to do, or if you've already tried the things and it's not working, go to a professional. It's worth it. And make sure that you like who you're seeing, and if you don't like who you're seeing, go to another professional. Because when you find that right bond, miracles will happen. You know, and I'm not saying everybody go to therapy. No. Therapy is not necessary for everybody. It's not. But for some kids, at certain aspects and times in life, it's very important. Hey, Hillbilly Reacts, how you doing? We had a good Christmas. I'm really excited to close down 2021 though. I'm just not gonna tell you. I'm really ready to close this year out, start on a new one. So ready. I think everybody is. Oh, are you working? I thought you was resting today. I thought, I'm got your schedule all mixed up. Enlightened. I don't. Well. Everybody kind of knows what to do. It's just the application stumbles everybody up sometimes. And that's because before we get to when we know what to do and we have that burst of I want to respond, a lot of people then stop and check themselves because they think they're going to overextend themselves or show their child too much emotion or show their child a part of them that they don't think their kid needs to see. And you don't think your children understand that as human beings we're very jostled up in here? That we struggle with things. But, you know, no matter how perfect you try to appear, look, act, behave, your child is going to know there's a struggle, an internal struggle. Better to role model how to behave, you know, how to deal with it and appropriate behavior than to make them think that when you become an adult, everything's perfect. Because once they have a wake-up call when they become an adult, and it's not perfect. So it's better to just be honest and be truthful. And, you know, I can reach my son with anything. I can talk to my son about anything. I can sit down and talk to him, and he will just have epiphany after epiphany, and I'm like, woohoo! Yeah! I'm a mom! You know? And I sit down with my daughter, I'm like, and she's like, no. And I'm like, crap! And so I had to farm her out with some people for help. And had I not had the bonus aunt that had this, like, the same background as me, then we probably would have ended up in therapy. I got lucky. And I actually tried to push her off into therapy before she had her first, like, day with her aunt. Because I really thought that maybe she just needed to be there. And I just got lucky that aunt was the one that could reach her. You know, but don't think that because you have to enlist a crew that you didn't reach your child. You facilitated your child's health. That's what parents do. We don't always get the recognition. We don't always get the glory. But it's on our job duty list. It's what we do. And so you being a parent sometimes means understanding that you're not the person that can step in and help, that you need other people that can do that. And my daughter was not a girl that would talk to her mother. But I understand, she is a scrawny, blonde, beautiful, gorgeous little girl that also had a different experience in life because I was a powerhouse weightlifter, showing cattle, training horses, shoeing horses, hunting hogs, big, burly, buxom woman. So we had two different experiences in life. And I had to go, okay, we are not the same creatures, and I'm not going to be able to understand some of the things she's going through. I have never walked through the world and had men that look at me inappropriately and felt fear. Heck no. You want to think you're going to cause me a problem? You think you're going to reach your hand out and touch this? Ha ha. Good on you. Bring it on. We'll play. But my daughter can't go through the world like that. She's 120 pounds soaking wet. She has to have a little bit of fear. She lives in a different world than I do. She has different boundaries for people than I do because of our makeup, our abilities, the core of who we are, and our physical status. You know, and her stature is so small, she does have a victim potential. You know, and that's how I taught her pressure points as a child. I had to make sure she was okay. I taught her pressure points. You know, I got called into the office for that one, but the little boy got his comeuppance. Okay, and her doing that, her making lists and writing down, is her trying to actively exert control over that dynamic, over that behavior, that friendship. So she's trying, what she's doing, she's trying to find a way to control it. So her desire to find control is great. She just found control in the wrong way. Because learning to control other people's perceptions of you and their opinions of you isn't about changing to meet their requirements. It's about understanding that you get to change your requirements to meet better people. And that's a hard one for young women to learn. That's a very hard one for young women to learn. You know, I was big my whole life. You know, I've been a big old woman, and I'm just saying, I've got enough muscle in my body, ladies. This is rude, but I can still bounce each boob independently. I'm just a big old burly woman now. I had 2,000-pound bulls run at me, and I'd lean in and go, son, we're fixing to wrangle. You know, and I just had no fear. I was one of those girls. And so I'm a very different breed than most women. They are, and that's them trying to exert control over their fear, their situation, their issue. And she needs to understand that. As much as she's trying to control her emotions and trying to control it through maintaining and trying to meet their requirements, they're trying to control her, but they wish they could meet what she is, what she has. And so each is just as lost as the other. Each side is just struggling and trying to exhibit and exert different controls. And it's just about understanding that I don't live in someone else's brain. I don't control someone else's tongue. I can't make them see the world the way that I see it. The only thing I control is me. And if you really need control over an issue, find a healthy way to find control. And a lot of times for little girls, that is going to be like positive communities. There's a lot of like Mommy and Me that go up to teenagers, but it's a lot of those little positivity seminars and stuff like that. And if you're in an urban area, you can find them. If you're not in an urban area, what I would suggest is get your group of friends together, all your imperfect but beautiful friends together, and get them together and get in a circle somewhere, get around a table somewhere on a park bench, get somewhere where y'all can be a group and be focused, and bring notepads for everybody and pens, and have everybody remember back to when they were her age. And say, now write down the fears you had at that age. What were your biggest concerns at that age? And then pass them around to her and let her look. And she's going to see all these grown women had the same issues I had. Oh my gosh. And then go, do you see anything? Are you seeing any patterns? And she'll be like, yeah, everybody's having a lot of the same problems I'm having. There's a lot of the same issues here. And say, okay, well, we grew out of it. We became women. We found love. We started families. We had lives. We've had bad times, good times. But we made our way out of it. So now that you know everybody's been there, now I'm going to let everybody tell you all the great things that their imperfect bodies and their imperfect lives have created. And you're going to have super successful women that have super successful jobs and have, a power position. You're going to have women that say, my imperfect body created 4 perfect children. And she's going to start to understand that those little mean girls don't have a lot of scope of the imagination for what's coming in life. And it's all about opening up the world and understanding. You know, we're all growing, we're all changing, and we're all learning. And we just need to learn from each other. We need those true stories, those true realities, and to see people who have struggled, to see that struggle, to see people that have fell to the struggle, people that have succeeded over the struggle. And a lot of people hide one or the other from their children. It's not necessary. Show it all. Show it all. Just be there in their ear to help them understand it. But get all your most imperfect, like get your perfect friends and your imperfect friends. And you're going to find perfections about all of them. And you're going to help her understand that they are a balanced human being, even though they don't have the perfect bodies. Or if they have the perfect body, they may not have the perfect marriage. Or they may not have the perfect job. Or they may not, you know, they're going to share their struggles and how they've overcome them. And they're going to help her accept balance in all things. And it's just to let her know those little girls are struggling just as much as her. And that's how they're trying to exert her out. Now, since she's trying to do lists, she's trying to find a control mechanism. It is your job as a parent to find a healthy control mechanism for her, or to help her find a healthy control mechanism. And a healthy control mechanism may be just as simple as reciting some positive affirmations at specific times of the day to get her into a positive mindset before she engages with these young women. Or you may need to go to school and talk to the counselor and tell them particularly what's going on and make sure that she has a safe space to go if she has an issue at school, because school is normally the tense area. But prepare her. My daughter is very insecure about her nose. I'm like, honey, you own that nose. Only Cher has a nose like that. You know how famous Cher is? Cher could make $10 million just blowing her nose and selling the tape. I don't know why you're worried about that nose, honey. That nose lets me know it's you rounding the corner. I love that nose. And that's how I've been my entire life to her. And she would look at me when she was little and she'd be like, don't you want to lose some weight? Honey, I need people to see the beauty that is me walking through a crowd. And if I don't take up more space and if I'm not louder, do you think they're going to get to see this perfection walking amongst them? No, they're not. And she would be like, what? Honey, your mother's perfect. God made me. He molded me. He spit on the clay and made me. I am what He wants me to be. I am perfect. And I had to really just focus on that for a while of letting her know that, yes, I have imperfections. But I don't embrace them. I don't focus on them. I focus on my positives. And it was an eye-opening thing for her, because I went everywhere in army fatigues or law enforcement get-up. So I never looked like a woman. I looked like a big burly man walking around. And that was hard for her, because all of her friends' parents were gorgeous. And I was like, I'm beautiful. So I had to really focus on letting her know I have beauty. I have worth. Because she was being taught an inappropriate belief on that from her friends at school. And we struggled for a couple years with her. I'm not going to lie, it was rough. And I was just lucky enough to have, kind of caught the first end of it and to actively got in there. So, but sometimes learning how to communicate is the best thing. And if you need help learning how to communicate with your child, go see a professional. Go see a professional. Make sure that you talk to somebody that is actively in the field, that has the power to diagnose. I'm not actively in the field anymore. I don't have the power to diagnose. This is just advice. Go to somebody that has the ability to actively diagnose, to look for any more specific issues that may be presenting. Because if something is presenting, you want to get ahead of it. And that professional will help you understand that. And then, if you just have personality conflict, that you can learn how to communicate with that professional. Communication, words. I would look at my kids. This is horrible. I know half of you are going to say this is horrible. I would look at my kids when they would say things to me that I didn't appreciate or didn't want to do with, and I'd be like, use your words. Because they would snap at me with something really curt. And I'd be like, that was inappropriate. I'm not going to absorb that. You're mad. And I would look at them with this face, and they'd look at me, and I'd be like, use your words. And they would talk to me. And my children, they're 23 and 24, sometimes when I get flustered with them, they'll look at me and go, Mom, use your words. And I'm like, dang it, I've got to use my words. And yes, it's a joke, and yes, some people may think it's horrible, but it's how I've reached my children, with a little bit of humor and a little bit of sass, to pull them out of their headspace and meet me halfway somewhere. And that's, a lot of it is just, some of the ways that you have to meet people, it's going to make you look in a very unbecoming light. It's going to make you look like an idiot sometimes. But you just do what you got to do for people you love. It's just, you do what you got to do for people you love. And, but yeah, I did that to my kids a lot. I know some of you are like, that's not polite. Well, we didn't do it in mixed company. It was just, an inside joke. But that is what we did. And that is how I got them to understand that words are very effective tools in helping us understand what's going on in your head. So, my kids will even do that to me these days when I don't want to tell them, like, a health issue I'm having, or I don't want to tell them how sick I've been, and they'll pick up on it. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. And they're like, Mom, use your words. So, those little inside jokes really mean a lot to kids. I'm not going to lie. Those inside jokes mean a lot to your children, and they will mean a lot when they're young adults. A lot. Okay, I'm going to have to shut up because I've got to make me something to eat. I didn't eat my lunch, and I want a ham sandwich like nobody's business. So I just want to get on here and say that I witnessed such a positive thing this morning. I was so happy. And I want everybody to be positive. End the year on a positive note, laugh, and go into next year smiling, and understand that the internet has power. And yeah, sometimes it has nasty power. But it has good power too. And you're part of the good group. Thank you for being part of the good group. Thank you for making my year better than it should have been, better than it could have been, better than it would have been without you. And be positive. Love each other. And if somebody's being negative, don't hit their pothole. Go down another road. And don't hit the potholes in that road either. Alright, I'm going to go eat my ham sandwich. I love you guys. And if I don't see you tonight, I will see you next year. Bye, y'all.